If he was a worthy target, however, Yuji knew he was being spied on. Already having noticed his name on the scroll to keep Ricardo safe, he had decided to leave immediately, and the ugly girl that looks like Lily suggested he heads for Benia when he wondered why she told him that he would find the best monster armor in the town and thought it would be perfect for him. As Yuji continued heading towards the new town, he discovered he was being followed by the assassins, and as he took a nap, hoping to appear like a regular Tamare Yuki and a girl Sona, continued spying on him. Wondering if he has overpowered skills, when Yuki tried suggesting that they eliminate him in his sleep. Sona told him that he was still only a potential target, they would only annihilate him if they were certain that he was a threat, she said. But Yuki thought this was worse than babysitting a preschooler. However, Yugi could hear every single word they were saying, but thought that ending their worthless lives would only draw more attention on him, and realized that he must convince them that he was just a random loser. As he arrived at Virginia, the duo continued spying on him, and Sona thought he must be a powerful Tamare for deciding to buy armor from the best smith in town. However, Yugi pretended to have no money and was shooed off from the shop like a hopeless sack of. Just then, he bumped into a dude on the street and started begging for his life like a useless before getting turned away from a fruit stall. The assassins thought he was probably a brokey, and Yuki suggested that they abandon him when they noticed he was drinking too much PG grape juice. However, Sona wasn't buying it just yet, so Yugi thought of convincing them that he was truly a horrendous loser, so that they can get off his tail already before long. He arrived at the guild and offered to take down a rush bull when the assassins realized this Yuki thought he was certainly one weak-ass loser, but Sona said she wants to see him in a fight. Shortly, Yuji arrived on the mountain and told his minions that he wouldn't activate any offensive magic during the quest. As Proud Wolf asked how he would protect himself, Yuji decided to abandon it to the quest, telling it to get the job done on its own. At that moment, a bull started rushing to eliminate it, but the wolf managed to knock it away, killing it instantly as the wolf discovered its power. The furs stood on end, ready for battle, and Yuji remembered the first time he spotted it a few days after he reincarnated. He tried finding his way out of the forest, but Proud Wolf appeared before his eyes, hungry for a taste of his meat. However, as it tried to devour him, Yuji cast a magical net to restrain it. But as he noticed the wolf was sad, he decided to activate monster telepathy and discovered that the wolf was begging for its life, deciding to spare it. He wondered if it would allow him to become its Tamare, and the wolf agreed immediately. Just then, Proud Wolf vowed to defeat the bulls and ended them in an instant at the sight of this Yuki. And Sona thought Yuji must certainly be powerful for managing to tame the wolf. And Sona wondered if he should be eliminated already with Yuji. Desperate to convince them, he decided to heal the bulls, hoping they would realize that the wolf's attack was weak and useless. However, as the bulls charged again, Proud Wolf annihilated them immediately, but Yuji revived them once more at this point. The wolf was already exhausted, and Yuki thought its teeth were more useless than an Olympic lifeguard. However, Proud Wolf managed to rile itself up, so Yugi upgraded the bulls with physical boost. As the wolf realized it would certainly be squashed, he started running for his dear life, and the bulls shattered the rock before it as Yuji realized his wolf was about to get his ass clapped. Pause. He tried boosting its strength, but Proud Wolf turned down his help, determined to face the bulls without an upgrade, so as they began charging once more, it charged back and finally managed to defeat them. Just then, a bull started charging at him, but he summoned a sword and sliced it instantly. Realizing he just blew his cover with the assassins in shock. They wondered how he managed to summon the sword, but thought it was probably dumb luck and began to leave that night in the forest. Sona began telling their leader through the crystal ball that Yuji was far too useless to be a threat to their group and vowed to annihilate their next target. However, when Yuji realized it was the priest Stale who gave him the special dagger to slay the dragon, he realized it was too dangerous to allow them to leave, so he activated a magical spell to freeze the entire hut, icing their ass. The following day, as he returned to the armor shop, he told the dude that he wants to buy monster armor. However, the man thought he was still a broke and tried showing him off again, saying that the master only pays attention to top Gs. As Gel appeared before them, he screamed at him to get his ass out of his head and began saying that Yuji was the strongest customer he's ever had, and that even his armor's defense stats were nothing compared to his overpowered slimes. He said that he must forge a special armor for them, and as he noticed their aura, he revealed that the slimes were the most broken monsters in all of human history. When Yuji wondered if they were hopeless of ever getting armor, Gel told him that they would find the right material for armor in the Jewel of Lesser Fire Dragons. But even then, Gel said that the blue dragons were not easy to kill, and that he would certainly forge a special armor for his monsters if he managed to retrieve their jewel. Just as Yuji was about to leave, he decided to ask if there were some grown fire dragons on the mountains. But even though Gel told him that there was, he went on to reveal that they were very rare to find, realizing he may be hopeless of ever finding them. Yuji told him that he would just try to find the blue lesser dragons. Before long, he arrived at the Adventurers Guild and told the mistress that he intends to complete all the quests to annihilate the dragons on the mountain. But she thought his worthless act must have lost his mind, seeing as the tasks were probably impossible when he tried telling her that he would destroy them with his magic. She revealed that magic doesn't work on lesser fire dragons because they were protected by the magic from their jewel. On top of that, their scales were really thick and could not be slashed by a sword. When you wondered how they're supposed to kill them, the mistress revealed that they doused them with large amounts of water since the fire. Dragons were naturally weak and could only survive from the heat of the volcano. Realizing it was super easy, Yuji wondered why all the dragons have not been eliminated already, so the mistress told him that it was difficult to carry water all the way up the mountain, and if they were to get water, they would need to cross a piranha-infested river that devours everyone that tries to cross to the other side. As Yuji realized he could annihilate several of the monsters, at the same time, he decided to claim this additional quest. But the girl thought he probably needs to be checked a few hours later as they arrived on the mountains. Yuji realized that the volcano was still active. As he wondered if it was safe to stay around the area, his slimes decided to investigate. And Yuji soon realized that they met their old relatives as he used his appraisal skill. He realized they were red slimes, a different species from his own, and decided to tame them. Before long, they arrived at the piranha-infested river, so Yuji activated Slime Net, tangling all the slimes and allowing them to descend deep into the water. As the slimes jumped into a hole, they soon returned, pursued by the piranha. However, they managed to trap it, and Yuji pulled them towards the surface before his eyes. The fish destroyed the net and tried to end him, but Yuji trapped it inside medium-range frosts. However, it destroyed the ice and tried to devour him, but he escaped and burned it with a fireball until it became grilled tuna. When he was done, they began heading closer to the mountains, and he soon noticed the lesser fire dragons as he appeared before the first dragon. He unleashed his water cannon on the monster, successfully killing it. Before his eyes, the dragon emitted heat, and the special jewel fell out of its body within a few minutes. Yuji slayed several dragons and thought they were just a waste of time. At that moment, he spotted a senior blue dragon and thought it was certainly a better option. So, with thought communication, he commanded his slimes to surround the beast and unleashed water cannon from every direction, hoping to drown the monster. However, it managed to survive the attack, and Yuji realized he needs to try a different magic in an instant. He froze it with medium range frost, but the dragon destroyed the ice as Yuji realized he must increase his attack. He commanded his slimes to gather before the dragon and activated another medium range frost, but multiplied the effect this time. At that instant, a mountain of ice covered up the monster, and as it melted off, the dragon died instantly. Just then, the special jewel broke from its body, and Yuji realized that this would make the perfect armor, so as he returned to the guild, he submitted all the quests, saying that he has killed every single lesser fire dragon in the mountains, and even the useless Pyram. To impress her with his skill, Yugi revealed that he managed to lure the fish towards the surface before killing it, and the mistress thought he must be a demigod that night. As Yugi arrived at the smith's shop, he decided to reveal the jewel from the blue lesser fire dragon. At the sight of this, Gel realized that Yuji was more powerful than he thought, and Yuji wondered if he could forge an armor for Proud Wolf, as Gel told him that he could. Yuji revealed another blue jewel for his slime's armor, but the men wondered how he managed to kill 2 blue lesser fire dragons just then. His slime spewed all the jewels from the other dragons, and Gel realized that Yuji was definitely not from this world. By the following day, Gel already made an armor for Proud Wolf in the slime. So to test the new upgrade, Proud Wolf started running AC across the mountains and was even faster than the breeze. When it was the slime's turn, it began darting around the mountains, and Yuji thought it was pretty much invisible to test the full strength of their armor. He decided to boost their abilities with his magic, increasing their speed to get it close to the flash of light. As Gel suggested, he tries their attacking ability. Yuji decided to cast medium-range frost on the mountain, and the entire thing was covered up in ice with Gel in shock. He wondered how Yuji became powerful, but Yugi told him to shut his ugly, disgusting, worthless mouth with his crackhead-ass haircut. Damn later. At the shop, Gel began telling Yuji that the blue jewels could only bear a little magic, and that they would be destroyed if he tried to increase his magical powers. When Yuji wondered if there was a stronger jewel that could contain all his powers, Gel told him that only a fire dragon jewel could do the job, but said that it could never be defeated. As Yuji wondered why Gel began telling him that the fire dragon lives deep inside the volcano and only emerges on rare occasions later in the room. As Yuji remembered Jill's words, he wondered if the volcano would erupt after he slays the fire dragon, and thought he was better off abandoning his plan. Just then, he discovered that hundreds of dragons have appeared on the mountains, and thought the blue moon of salvation probably lured out the monsters. So he commanded his minions to head for the volcano, wondering if any creepy dudes could be spotted close by. Just then, they noticed a pair of men traveling up the mountain, and Yuji soon realized that the volcano was erupting. Before his eyes, the fire dragon emerged, and his minions realized that the creepy men were headed for the volcano, as the first man, Juru, wondered what they would do if their plan fails. Fatso told him that their men from the neighboring city of Ordian have promised that the plan would certainly succeed. Hearing their words, Yuji realized they were definitely members of the Blue Moon of Salvation, and activated magical net to capture them. But their reflex was quick, and they evaded it at the sight of this. Yuji thought they were pros after all, but the men wondered if the net was merely a trap from the mountains as they continued towards the volcano. Yuji tried casting another net from behind, but they dodged, and Juru cast his sword into the invisible slime. However, Yuji was a smartass, and finally restrained them from the rear. Just as the slimes began appearing before them, the men realized their plans have gone south, and decided to bite a pill, sealing their spot in the next EI anime. At Yuji's command, the slime began observing the barrels, and they realized that they were filled up with water. Before long, Drad appeared on the mountains to observe the water, and she revealed that it was filled with evil magic to rile up the fire dragon, unwilling to take any risks. Yuji activated a dispel curse and purified the water. At that instant, with the threat gone, Drad vanished from the mountains, and Yugi thought it was all over. However, the dragons began roaring, and a man appeared at Yuji's door, telling him to leave the town before it started raining. Just then, the rain began again, and the fire dragon grew angry as Yuji realized something was definitely wrong. He recalled that the man already told him that the dragon always causes chaos. Every time it awakens in the rain, at that instant, the dragon started heading for the town, looking to repeat history. But the townspeople began to leave as the fire dragon arrived at the river. Yugi wondered if it would be too afraid to cross. However, the heat from its body killed all the fishes, and Yuji realized there was no stopping this monster, having no other choice. Yuji realized he needs to be the one to defeat the dragon, since he's the worthless protagonist of this anime and has a cheat leveling system. So as Proud Wolf appeared before the fire dragon, he cast medium range frost to trap its foot, but it broke the ice. However, Yuji wouldn't quit either and trapped its head in another medium range frost, but it shattered instantly, looking to make an attack of its own. The dragon prepared a great blast, but Yuji countered it with yet another medium range frost. However, the dragon soon arrived at another river, and Yuji thought this was his perfect opportunity to end it at that moment. A large barrier filled up with water, and as it burst, the flood swept the dragon away, and Yuji revealed that he prepared this as a backup plan. However, the dragon re-emerged and unleashed a terrible blast at his minions, but Yuji managed to protect them with a barrier, as the dragon began preparing an even greater blast that would obliterate the entire town. Yuji activated Permafrost Curse. In that instant, he unleashed a powerful ice breath against the flames, successfully overpowering it and freezing the dragon before breaking into pieces. Just then, the rain stopped, and as Yuji noticed the huge fire dragon's jewel, the slimes revealed the strange machine they found on the mountains that evening. When Yuji returned to the smith shop, he told Gel that he found a rare jewel from a dragon, As Gel realized it was probably from the fire dragon, he promised to make him a special armor later at the guild. Yuji decided to ask the mistress if she's ever been to Arian, so she told him that she has, and said that it was the favorite place for adventurers who were running away from paying taxes. Just then, the slime vomited the machine, and Yuji wondered if she knew what it was. She told him that it was one of the guild's artificial rain machines, and was mostly used in times of drought to draw the rain. She said that every town has their own machine for summoning the rain, but discovered that the name on this machine has been scraped off as Yuji remembered the men's words. He wondered why they were trying to destroy the town, and wished that he could wipe them out at the same time in the morning as Yuji received his armor. Gel tried asking for his name, so he told him that it was G yourself, as he later arrived at the Adventurous Guild. Yugi discovered that he was being spied on, and the men wondered why he didn't choose any new quests. However, when they headed into a private room, Yugi discovered that they were members of the Blue Men of Salvation and that they intend to eliminate him as they considered him a threat. However, they were afraid that their attack would draw everyone's attention towards their secret group and thought it would cancel their plans to destroy the world. Just then, the priest Stale and his aide appeared before Yuji, but he wondered how they managed to find him shortly as they began to speak in a church. Father Stale told him that he was led here by a vision and said that he's been hoping to see Yuji once again, as Yui wondered why members of the Blue Moon of Salvation were trying to kill him. Father Stale decided to tell him his story. With the fire dragon defeated and its powerful jewel in his possession, Yuji uncovers deeper ties between the Blue Moon of Salvation and the chaos plaguing the land. As new revelations surface, allies emerge, and his enemies grow bolder. Yuji's journey becomes a race against time to thwart a sinister plot that could reshape the entire world.